They called it impossible. We'll show you how they built it. The Great Pyramid of Giza, a monumental testament to ancient ingenuity, stands not merely as a tomb for a pharaoh, but as a colossal puzzle. For millennia, its construction has baffled historians and engineers alike. How, without modern machinery, did a civilization lift millions of stone blocks, some weighing upwards of 80 tons, into the desert sky? The common narrative often focuses on divine intervention or even extraterrestrial aid. But the truth, as always, lies in the meticulous, often brutal, application of human will, sophisticated planning, and an understanding of physics far more advanced than typically credited to the Bronze Age. Let's strip away the myth and delve into the logistical nightmare that was the Giza Plateau around 2580 BC. Picture not slaves toiling under the lash, but a highly organized workforce, numbering in the tens of thousands, living in a purpose-built city dedicated solely to this singular, monumental task. The sheer scale is staggering, approximately 2–3 million stone blocks. The average block weighed around 2–5 tons. That's the equivalent of 2 average cars, and these weren't just randomly placed. Each had to fit with incredible precision, often within a millimeter, to withstand the immense pressures of the structure. The first challenge, of course, was sourcing the material. The vast majority of the pyramid's core was local limestone, quarried from just south of the Giza Plateau itself. This wasn't a casual dig. It was an industrial-scale operation, likely using copper chisels, dolerite pounding stones, and wooden wedges. But for the pyramid's gleaming outer casing, a finer, whiter limestone was needed. This came from Tura, across the Nile. Imagine the logistical headache: quarrying, transporting across the river by barge, then dragging these massive blocks another 10 to 15 miles overland. And the truly luxurious components, the granite for the king's chamber and relieving chambers, that journey was even more epic. It came from Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. These blocks, some weighing over 50 tons, had to travel the length of the Nile, a journey of weeks, if not months. This wasn't just about manpower. It required an intimate knowledge of the Nile's seasonal floods. The annual inundation would have been crucial for transporting the heaviest blocks closer to the construction site, transforming the desert edge into a temporary port. Once at the plateau, the colossal task of moving these stones overland began. The prevailing theory now isn't one continuous, straight ramp. That would have required a ramp larger than the pyramid itself. Instead, archaeologists favor a system of spiraling or zigzagging ramps, perhaps lubricated with water. Recent discoveries, like a 400–500-year-old ramp system at Hatnub Quarry, provide crucial clues. This system, with staircases and post holes, suggests a method of using ropes and leverage to pull heavy alabaster blocks up steep inclines. A similar, albeit grander system could have been adapted for Giza. Imagine hundreds of men, perhaps pulling in shifts, using wooden sledges. The path in front of the sledge would be wet, reducing friction. It's slow, arduous work, but with enough hands and organization, a steady flow of blocks could be maintained. But how did they position them with such precision? The key lies in surveying and measurement. The ancient Egyptians were masters of geometry and astronomy. They aligned the pyramid almost perfectly with true north, a feat that would challenge modern builders even today. They likely used simple but effective tools: plumb bobs for verticality, levels made with wooden A-frames and strings, and ropes marked for precise measurement. It was a painstaking, block-by-block process, guided by overseers who understood the blueprint implicitly. The workforce itself was not slaves in the traditional sense, at least not for the Great Pyramid. Archaeological evidence points to a well-fed, well-organized society. Workers received rations of bread, beer, and even meat. They lived in purpose-built villages, complete with bakeries, breweries, and medical facilities. This wasn't just a job, it was a societal commitment, a religious duty. Participating in the construction of the pharaoh's eternal resting place was a path to spiritual merit, a way to ensure the continuity of cosmic order. It was a national project of unprecedented scale. The logistics extended beyond mere building. There was a need for an enormous support infrastructure: blacksmiths for tools, potters for storage, scribes for record-keeping, and cooks for feeding thousands. Giza was a bustling hub of ancient industry, and the internal structures, the king's chamber, queen's chamber, and the grand gallery represent an entirely different level of engineering prowess. These required incredibly precise corbelling and the placement of massive granite beams, some weighing up to 80 tons, at significant heights. The construction of these internal spaces would have necessitated temporary support structures, perhaps complex scaffolding made of wood. Once a chamber was complete, the supports would be removed, leaving behind the awe-inspiring, self-supporting structures we see today. The precise sequence of construction, how the internal chambers were built simultaneously with the rising outer shell, remains a subject of intense debate. Did they build from the inside out, or was it a complex interplay of ramp systems and internal voids? The genius wasn't just in the brute force, but in the planning. Every block, every angle, every internal passage was conceived long before the first stone was laid. It was a master plan executed over perhaps 20 years, a testament to long-term vision and unwavering commitment. So when you gaze upon the pyramids of Giza, look beyond the grandiosity of the pharaohs. See the hands that quarried, the minds that planned, the logistical brilliance that orchestrated the movement of millions of tons of stone. It wasn't magic, it was sheer, unadulterated human ingenuity. The pyramids stand as a silent monument not just to death, but to life, to the organizational capacity, the engineering prowess, and the collective will of an ancient civilization that achieved what many still consider impossible. Uncover another hidden logistical marvel in the annals of history by subscribing for more.